Hi everyone, I'm Michael Raw, children's author from Australia, and today I'd like to talk to you about my fourth published book, The Swoozlemunger. And today I'll be interviewing Claire Thurlow, illustrator of The Swoozlemunger, and asking her a series of questions. So here we go. Welcome, Claire. So here with me today, I've got Claire Thurlow, the amazing illustrator for my latest book, my fourth published works, The Swoozlemunger. And I was so fortunate to have Claire illustrate this book for me. And so I wanted to do a little interview to help promote our work together and get to the bottom of why you became an illustrator. And so I'd like to ask a few questions if I could. So welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, shoot away.
Right. So first question is, so tell me about yourself and why you started to illustrate.
Okay, so I'm a teacher here on the Mid-North Coast in Port Macquarie. I'm at St Agnes Primary School and I've been teaching for 16 years. And I was fortunate enough to be here ever since I graduated from university. So that was very cool. And it's actually my old primary school as well. So gone full circle, contributing back to the community that had so much to do with my upbringing. And so, yeah, so did my teaching degree, came and I've been doing primary school teaching, but on top of that, I also work at Charles Sturt University. And previous to that, I've worked at the University of New England in Armidale. And that's been mainly around teaching pre-service teachers how to teach well the creative arts, and in particular the creativity that the creative arts particularly fosters. So I've always been into the creative arts. So I've done dancing since I was little, and drama, and of course, art. My parents are very creative people, and I have vivid memories of sitting on the balcony with my dad. We had an easel side by side, and we would sit for hours and paint and draw, and he would teach me as we went. And then I was always captivated by his portfolio of work, and used to, always go back to it and have it around my room as inspiration and part of my vision walls growing up. And obviously I've dabbled with different creative arts. So when I, first, did dance and drama at school, I didn't really think, there would be a career path in it. But, I did dabble with the idea of doing dance professionally at one stage, and then got into teaching and just really enjoyed the teaching side of things. And then with drama, did drama all the way through for my HSC and scored very highly in drama, and loved it, and applied for NIDA twice at the beginning of my teaching degree and at the end of my teaching degree. And as you would be aware, it's very hard to get into. And yeah, just...
How dare they not take you? That's just outrageous.
Well, it was all a learning experience, and I'm a big believer that you're where you're supposed to be is where you're supposed to be. And it definitely helped influence and develop me in the sense of, still tapping into the workshops and everything that those, different professional industries have, and continuing to learn. And then, now that I've been doing, I've got a little after school program in drama that I've been doing for a few years, and it's just awesome when you walk.
You loved
Yeah.
it?
I've never forget walking down the main street and seeing kids that I taught who have now since graduated, and they'll come running up to me. It was the Anzac Day March. They come running up to me and they'll say, "Oh, I tried out for WAPA and I got in, and I'm, or I'm part of this, dance company now, or a theatre company, and it all started with you at Shine." And I'm like, "Oh, that's amazing." So yeah, so even though it just works in mysterious ways, I suppose, what you end up spending your energy into and how it just develops into teaching and coaching other people. So, yeah.
I'll tell you what, I think we could do a few extra videos here about giving advice on how to apply for NIDA and all these other things as well. So I know that the amount of time and effort you put in is amazing, because I've seen the work work that you do. And I believe you also helped with these students' leadership speeches this year. Or I don't know.
Yeah, public speaking. Yeah, well, public speaking is a real art form, and it's all part of, the speech and drama background that I had. And I, had done some Trinity College drama examinations growing up, and it was all about, breath work and proper voice pronunciation and articulation, particularly because I've got a very Australian accent. And when I was going for television, you had to kind of make sure that you're able to not just adopt different accents, but just be a little bit neutral in your voice. And so
Did you struggle with that, did you?
I did. And now, married to a country boy who's got an even thicker Australian accent.
So that doesn't help much, does it?
It doesn't help. I loved being involved with the public speaking side of things, and helping kids to, formulate a really well-crafted speech that, explains clearly who they are and what they stand for.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Wow, what an amazing introduction. And I guess you've touched on this, and my next question is, how does illustrating make you feel and why? And I know I love that little intro there where you had the easel set up next to your dad. What an amazing memory that must be.
Yeah. So, and look, Mum's just as, creative as well. She's she's got amazing handwriting. She's a calligraphy artist, and she actually did for our wedding our calligraphy for our wedding sign and things like that, for the menu, etc. And she also used to do Chinese brushwork painting, and she's still, even to this day, she's this tiny little thing, and she's doing like the samurai swords in terms of Tai Chi and stuff. And so, she's always had an influence of like the Oriental painting, and she loves painting flowers and botanical artwork. And then, so Dad was kind of the instrument of getting into art, and then Mum was very much the watercolour influence, which you'll see in the Swoozle.
Which I'll ask you in a minute about that. That's leading into that question.
So that's where it definitely stems from. But I suppose visual arts is just a way for me to think about something different. And it's definitely that other side of the brain that gives you a bit of a break from everything else. And it's an opportunity to transport into a different world, an imaginative world. And it's funny how like people say, how did you come up with that idea? It just kind of evolves as you go, because you're so into it, you don't even realize that your ideas are forming and developing, and as you go. And that's what I love about it, because it's just so free and such a form of self-expression. And it's similar to how you are when you are dancing on stage or when you're acting, and don't even realize you're saying the lines. They just become part of who you are, and just with the movement you're just responding to the music, because it just becomes part of how you want to express yourself.
That's fantastic. So my next question is, so what's your favorite drawing or painting in your portfolio, and why? It doesn't have to be obviously the Swoozlemunger, but
I know. But it's funny, I do have a favourite page in the Swoozle where there's probably, and it's funny because different people have come up saying, I love this page, or I love that page. And so you look at it in a different light when you see it through other people's eyes as well. But any of the pages that involve the Swoozle, I just think he's such a little character with his cheeky little expressions and things. So anything that involves him, but I love how I've got him kind of jumping in and out of the waves and doing like somersaults and stuff, and that kind of that was an example of something that just happened organically as I was going. And the one where he's standing and he's got that big massive pile of fish in front of him, and like that did take a long time to do, but it was just an enjoyable process, and I was really proud of it afterwards. So so those two kind of stand out in my mind in terms of the ones that I like in my portfolio. But would you believe I always give my art away? I never keep it.
Well, I've still got all the originals from the book, so you'll get them back in a little portfolio, so you'll get to keep those.
Yeah,
But they're all
great.
works of art. Every single one of those is a work of art, so they could be each individually framed and put up on a wall for sure. But I agree
Yeah,
with you. I actually love that. I love all of them, of course, but my favorite, I think, just from sheer complexity and color and impact is where the Swoozlemunger's standing with his big pile of fish. And I
yeah.
know the amount of hours you put into that is incredible. So, and I also love the cover. I think the cover really pops as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly learnt a lot along the way with illustrating, you know, and that's always, you know, cool as well, because, you know, if you do something again in the future, like you just learn as a result how to make things a bit easier for you, you know,
Can I
like
ask,
things like,
can I
yeah.
ask, how does it actually, what were your thoughts when I asked you to be part of this?
Um, Initially, I didn't think my art would be good enough, like, to get published. I just thought, like, I would have a go, and I wasn't actually expecting it to turn out positively. Like, I didn't think it would go. I thought it would be like, oh, thank you, good try, but it's not quite what we're looking for, you know. And that would be, you know, like I had a go, but I wasn't kind of expecting it to really, yeah, to go anywhere. It was just, for me, it was just an opportunity to try something. And but yeah, I was so, that's why I actually like cried when I got the book, because I knew like how much time had gone into it, but I just, when I saw it, and I'd had some time away from it as well, because when you live and breathe it for so long and you see it day in and day out, you start to pick at it and see what's wrong with it, as opposed to what's good about it. And so yeah, when James came and gave me like the very first copy and I opened it, I was so overwhelmed, because I was actually looking at it with those fresh eyes going, oh, it turned out so well. And I think too, like, I was concerned, because it's all hand drawn and everything's computerized these days, that yeah, it wouldn't have the quality that we're competing against, I suppose, when you're buying a book. And but I thought people would definitely see, because of that matte finish, that, you know, they were all hand drawn, and that they were all, like, you know, lovingly made by a person.
Really well.
Yeah, so I was
Really.
stoked with that. But yeah, when I like first, you know, had the conversation with you, I thought, oh, look, you know, try, see if you can, you know, but, you know, don't be surprised if it's, you know, you're prepping yourself to do the best you can and put your best foot forward, but you've got to be prepared to take a knockback, and then, you know, learn to go from there as a result. So yeah, but I didn't have a knockback this time.
No, you didn't.
Yeah,
And there could be more. You might get a few knocks on the door now. You know? So my next question is, which you probably already answered, is what techniques and or resources did you use to design the artwork in the Swoozlemunger?
Yeah, so obviously I start with lead. So I just, you know, doing a rough outline draft, and then I would obviously go in with colour. So they're watercolour pencils. So I'd go in with the watercolour pencils, then you apply the water, and then you let that dry, and then you might go in again with another colouring, just to enhance the colour. You've got to be careful that you don't apply too much water, because it can irritate the paper. So you have to be really careful the amount of, you know, water you actually apply. Then once it's dried, I go through with like a black felt tip marker, so some ink, and, you know, give it some shape and form. And then I go back in with the colours again and kind of do some shading and that, just to make sure that the colours really pop out from that watercolour. So there's a combination of pencil, watercolour and ink. Yeah.
So how many hours do you think, I mean, each individual picture took a bit longer than the other one, but
yeah,
on average, do you think how many hours would you have spent on each page, each illustration?
Oh, yeah, look, And like there were so many drafts too, because I wouldn't be happy with one. Or like, for example, like the Swoozle, how he started and how he finished was very different. So then I would have to go back and change how he was. Yeah. And so, and it's not just like jump on a computer and make a few edits. It's, you have to draw from scratch all over again. And so if that was a fully developed page, like I'd have to start from scratch, as opposed to if it was just in lead. So, you know, like like some would take, you know, like hours, days, whereas others, you know, that, you know, was to just say the bag one, like, or the, that would only take me, you know, just a couple of hours, like say 3 hours or so. Yeah. But yeah, that's the tricky part, is how the characters evolve, and then going back and making sure that there's consistency, and the tricky parts of the illustrations. I know this is one of your questions, but the tricky part of the illustrations is like the hands and the facial gestures. And so often my critical friends, as I call them, would have a look at the page and I'd say, what expression can you see? And if they couldn't tell me what it was, then I had to do it again. So often I would have a mirror in front of me and try and capture the expression or the hand gesture. And then, and then sometimes I'd have to take photographs. And then have that photograph in front of me as just a way to just make sure that I've got the hands right, or the eyes right, or the face.
I would never have thought that, you know, and this is amazing, just getting into the mind of an illustrator to see the amount of work that actually goes into each picture. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next question is, how do you get inspired to produce a piece of artwork?
It's really the words.
Yeah,
it's really the words. It's actually harder to just, you know, for me, just to go and paint something or draw something without a form of inspiration. So once you have something to inspire you, then and then it's just a matter of thinking about the different ways you could do it. So for me, it was the words on the page, and I was just considering, you know, the little movie in my head, the little story of how, you know, what it looks like on the island.
Used to visualization.
Yeah, so on the island, as she walks through the island, what would she see? Where would she be? What islands have I seen in my own personal experience? What would the kids bring in terms of their understanding of a possible island, you know? And then making sure that I stayed true to the words. So, you know, that she was wearing overalls, she had to have a particular type of hat, she had to have particular colours, etc. So, yeah, it's a combination of all those things, of imagination, previous experience, thinking about your audience, and then obviously making sure that you're staying true to the words and matching the words as well. So, yeah, but any type of inspiration, whether it's a photograph or a real life event or a memory, or, you know, anything that takes your breath away in awe and wonder, might give you that inspiration to, you know, paint or draw or create, whatever it might be. But like I said, I give it all away, so whatever inspires me, I just hope somebody else likes it. Yeah.
So I guess that leads on to the next question, is how do you overcome creative block? Because I know that obviously they talk about writer's block, and so writers probably know about this, but is it the same for illustrators, artists?
Yeah, definitely. You can't force it. I definitely get into a mode, I suppose, you know, so I put that's it, definitely. So I you know, I love being on a big desk and having everything out in front of me, and I can grab everything that I need, and it's all at my fingertips. Are you a
tidy artist? Do you need everything in the right way, or is it a bit messy?
At the end I do. Everything goes back in its place, but you know, during the process it's just all out. And like I can have background noise going on, that's fine, you know, because I'm in the mode, I don't even hear it.
So that's That's not distracting.
No, I'm too busy. Yeah, I'm too busy into it. But if I am having like trouble with something, I'll move on to another page. So
Okay.
I'll leave that and come back to it. Yeah, I don't necessarily do things sequentially, and or I will just have a break from it and come back to it another day. So yeah, just knowing when to walk away is the hardest part, because sometimes you can overdo it and you can overwork something, and then it doesn't, and then you can really stuff it up to start all over again. Yeah. So sometimes it's having that opportunity to just say to yourself, no, I'm just going to stop and come back to this another time.
Probably a good strategy, I would have to say. Yeah. Next question is, which illustrators or artists do you use as role models, and why do they resonate with you?
Yeah, so I've always been a Brett Whiteley.
Your father and your mother, of course, already.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've always been a Brett Whiteley fan. I just love his use of big, bold lines, and you probably see all those curves and things with like those creatures that, you know, like are a bit imaginative. You know, they've got, you know, like unusually distorted big things like, you know, wings and heads and stuff. So I love Brett Whiteley, but Maurice the Dark illustrator, he did Where the Wild Things Are, and I like his use of ink and watercolor. He does a lot of cross hatching, etc. I don't
what was that?
Cross hatching, like lines going one way and then lines going another over the top, and it just to give the illusion of shading, etc. So you can see little influences of that in my work. So yeah, I would say that, you know, he's one. But I was brought up with so many picture books with my own family. Like I was read to all the time, and so I have a huge library of beautiful picture books, and I've got so many favorites that, you know, have taught beautiful messages, like The Giving Tree and The Happy Prince, and so all of those ones that you know, that I've got in my bank, from classics from Snugglepot and Cuddle Pie and Mem Fox's, you know, Possum Magic, all the way through to less known artists, but I suppose having all of those in front of you, you know, you can see like the ones that I've loved the most are the ones that have got lots of detail and and just and they're all very different and unique. Like there's no same sort of illustrator that I'm drawn to. I can see benefits or beauty in everybody's, and so I've got a bit of an eclectic style, but yeah, there's definitely a lot that I've had, you know, influenced by.
Well, you've got a big library of those books at home, but now you've got a new book to add to that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So next question is, what were your initial, I've already asked you that, what were your initial thoughts when I asked you that question? I actually asked you that before. So looking back, what would you change about the way you approached your work when creating the illustrations for the Swoozlemunger? Was there anything?
Yeah, look, I work well with deadlines. So I had to kind of give myself, you know, some deadlines around stuff.
I didn't really give you a deadline.
Yeah. And that, you know, like that was good because there wasn't pressure, but it was like at the same time, like I work well with deadlines too. So I would say to myself, okay, I'm going to, you know, try and make sure I've done these 5 pages by this time. And, you know, and so I guess what I would change is I think I wasn't expecting that my first initial drafts, you know, that I played around with the character and both main characters quite a bit. And I don't think I was expecting that. I think I thought that I would just come up with the character and that would be it. And and off I trot, you know, but as it went and as, you know, the characters interacted with each other and their little personalities started to come out, etc., they really started to change and evolve. And so all that initial work is not wasted, but I just wasn't expecting that to have taken that kind of change, I suppose. So
Can I ask,
Yeah.
could that be avoided, or is that the actual creative process? I mean, is
I
that...
think it's the creative process, but you're not kind of realizing at the time, you know, you're thinking, oh, you know, I'm chugging along well here, getting this done so that, you know, we've got some pages getting developed, but then you don't realize that you're going to go back and rework those and change those because things come, like, as it evolves, you go, oh, I'm not quite happy with that. And so, yeah, at the time you're thinking like, oh, it's, you know, yeah, like that's the character I'm going to start with and that's what I'm going to end with. But now I realize that, you know, it's a complete journey, like the whole thing. Yeah.
That's great. That's good feedback for me, because with my previous books, I did have deadlines for those illustrations, and they all blew out. But
yeah.
So I guess for yours, because this was your first, I guess, illustration journey, I didn't want to put that pressure on you, but but you would have actually preferred the actual deadline. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and because like because most people would say, well, when did you find the time to do it? You know, thinking like it'd be, you know, on your weekends or in your holidays and things like that. But it's actually was downtime for me of a night. So, and that's when I'm most creative, is at night time. So I knew you know, at certain points of you know, when people are probably sitting in front of the television and that's their downtime, that's when I go and do some drawing and stuff.
So were you glad when it was over, or you missed it sitting down after work? And
oh, I've actually missed it. Hey, like I've actually missed it. And it's funny because I started to put some stuff together, like some drawings together. And yeah, and I thought to myself, I need to sit and actually spend some time working these because, you know, they could turn into something, you know, and yeah, they were just, you know, reflections of how I was feeling at the time. And I looked at them and I thought, oh, and that's because I know you're going to ask me what are my next ventures, etc. And so it's kind of going down that path. But I was missing it and I didn't realize I was. And yeah, when I started to just draw and whatnot, when I was feeling certain ways, I thought, wow, this is, I didn't realize it was something that is so much a part of me and part of who I am. Yeah.
Well, I've got plenty of other books I can get you illustrated. So if you want to do it, you're more than welcome.
I'll definitely grab onto, you know, whichever ones you want to do next. I'm definitely going to do that because
we'll have to talk turkey.
Yeah, definitely. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to do a series of like affirmation cards. So with like little illustrations to go with those, so that I like teachers use them all the time, but and I know parents do too. They pop them in lunch boxes, etc. But I was just like I said, illustrating like some thoughts and feelings, and I thought, oh, these would be beautiful as like a little like personal little, you know, intention for the day. Yeah. So I think I might have a little look at a little play with that.
Set yourself a deadline and make it happen.
Yeah, I know.
Now, I think we covered this. What were the greatest challenges when creating illustrations? I think we've fairly well covered throughout some of the other questions, I think. But what do you want to add to that? Time.
I told you about my tip was that I had to start coding my pencils.
Oh yeah, that's right. The color coding.
So I had to this is you know, Zofia's hair, this is the Swizzle's nose, this is the overalls, because I had to make sure that the colors were the same, but also because you start getting creative and you say, oh, I just put a little bit of this color with this and a little bit of this color with this, and then it's like, well, then you've got to keep it going. So so the color coding helped.
Great. I guess the other thing too was, I guess we used different paper. So that was one bit of feedback for me.
Yeah.
That I thought it would be an issue, but it was in the end, because we had to scan, we had to get the right dimensions. So next time, I guess we just use one type of paper, one size of paper.
Yeah, one type of paper and one size. Yeah, and one orientation as well, because I'd done some landscape as well as portraits. Yeah.
So that was a learning thing for me as well.
Yeah.
So I know I'm conscious of your time, so we better wrap it up soon. But what advice would you give to aspiring artists and illustrators when they're embarking on their own journey?
Yeah, look, paint what you love, I suppose, would be my greatest bit of advice, because it's never a chore if it's something that you connect with, so if it comes from the heart. And don't be afraid to dabble with different medias and mediums, but certainly when you find something that you feel really confident in, really explore it and see if you can just play with it and take it to the next level, I suppose. And also, my last bit of advice would be just don't limit yourself. I'm a perfect example of someone that thought that it wasn't going to happen, and therefore, just basically counted myself out before I'd even started. And it just goes to show that, just because you're your worst critic, doesn't mean that you're actually accurate. It's,
and that,
I would always
translates into every part of your life.
So much, yeah. And, because I was really worried, like what my dad would say, because he taught me so much, or my mum, they loved it. And I thought, why do I need their feedback or their approval? That's crazy, because really, it's what you think of it, and what of course other people are going to love it as much as you do, because they can see the love in the work, and obviously everyone has got unique and different skills and abilities, so what they can appreciate is something that they might not necessarily be able to do or see, or that's really, that would be my advice.
Really good advice, because I guess I went through that same process with writing.
I
had to just say to myself, I don't care what people think of this. This is my creative work, and if they don't like it, they don't have to read it. And because you start to write or draw to a formula or to please other people, it's not your work. So
that's right. And creativity. Yeah, creativity is personal. It's supposed to be personal, right. So, and what somebody likes, somebody else might not like, right. And that doesn't matter. Yeah,
and that's okay.
That's right. Isn't it funny? But how, you just, self-doubt can be one of the worst things that, can stop you from having amazing opportunities.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you. You've already answered what's next for Claire Thurlow. I think definitely some illustration work. Definitely more. And I know you're quite sporty as well, and you've got so many other pursuits on the go. So I don't know where you find the time, to be honest. But anyway.
Yeah, you're not the first person to tell me that. They were, but I don't know, to be honest. I've got very supportive family, that's for sure. That knows that I like to be busy, and but it's the things that give you life, love, and laughter. So they're the things that you keep doing in your life to make sure that you get the most out of it. So
Well, I just want to thank you for being part of this book with me. It's been really amazing. I think it's amazing quality, and I feel very fortunate to have you as the illustrator. So thank you.
No problem.
All we have to do is sell millions of copies, and we'll be right.
Yay! That would be amazing. Yeah, but thank you so much for the opportunity, Michael. Hey, and taking a chance with me. And look, I thought what a great pairing, a parent that's got young children that know exactly where the imagination takes them, and what a beautiful bedtime story, just because that's what as they get older, they lose that imagination so quickly. And then, being a teacher, I thought, oh, what a great pairing, because, I work with the kids, and I'd like to think that could bring a bit of that, perspective to things as well, on what I think.
All that experience and actual knowledge, academic knowledge, as well as all the background with education, children's education, etc. Anyway, so leading on to the millions of sales, so we can get the book now at Port Macquarie Bookface, and also online worldwide. And for those watching this around the world, just go to your local bookstore and ask for the Swoozlemunger, and hopefully they'll be able to get it in for you if it's not in stock. And thank you for your time, and maybe we'll see you again with the next book.
Yep, fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
See ya.